Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Hello, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Maseches CHULLIN Daf Yud Gimel. We begin all the way down here at the Mishnah, which is around 8-9 lines from the bottom. Says the Mishnah, Shchitas oived kichavim. Suppose a guy does shchita, and it was a proper shchita, under supervision. You're watching him. What's the status of that meat? Is it mutter? No, nevela. We treat it like a dead ant, like a carcass. It's asr. You can't eat it. Umetama b'masa. Furthermore, if one should even carry that material, henceforth, even without direct contact, just merely by carrying it, the forbidden meat transmits tuma, like any other nevela, which is metame, by way of carrying it. Now, why? Why is the shchita of a goy not valid? So Tosfos back in the Gimel brings, based on the pasuk, we learn from there only one who is instructed, only a yid who is meant to do shchita, he can do the shchita, as opposed to a goy who has no relevance to this topic. Therefore, even a properly executed shchita has no validity. Says the Gemara, nevela in. You're calling it a nevela, which implies that you can't eat it. But what about hana? Can you have benefit from this material? Isser hana loy. We don't say it's asr bahana. Mantana. Whose opinion are we following? The loy Amar b'chia bar Rabbi Abba Yechanan. The loy Rabbi Eliezer. We're not going to Rabbi Eliezer. According to him, it's even worse. It's treated like avodah zarah material. The Rabbi Eliezer, according to him, Amar, he tells us stam, the presumed mindset of a guy is for the sake of his idol. In which case, this material becomes idol material. It was meant to serve an idol. Amar, he tells us stam machshavas oived kechavim, the presumed mindset of a guy is for the sake of avodas kechavim. Rashi brings the Gemara later. Even if a yid does a shchita for a guy, since the guy's objective is to serve his idol with this procedure, so the yid is doing it on behalf of the guy, his act assumes that status as well. Now, certainly if the guy himself does the shchita, which is our case, so according to them, it's asr bahana. You cannot even have benefit from the material. But our Mishnah disagrees with that. It's merely asr ba'achila and no more. Rabbi Yami Amar says that's obvious because the Mishnah calls it a nevela. Obviously, it's just asr ba'achila. Rather, he says the diuk, the inference from the Mishnah could be, is as follows. Rabbi Yami Amar, Hachitani, the Mishnah means like this. Shchitas oived kechavim nevela. The Mishnah is stressing that only if a guy does a shchita, it's a nevela, and no worse than that. But let's make a diuk. Hademin. But if the shchita was done by a min, which is somebody who's really attached to avodah zarah, a priest, right, totally committed to the cause, then his shchita assumes an even worse status. In this case, we say la avodas kechavim was meant for idol worship, and it's also even bahano. Tanina lahatan rabbanon. It's our Mishnah. Will be used as a support to the item mentioned in the Brisa that in fact shchitas min la avodas kechavim. The shchita of a min is presumed to be la avodah zarah, and it's asr bahano. And even a Yisrael min, we're talking about a yid who has this agenda, and Rashi says certainly if it's a guy who has this agenda. Pitoi paskusi. So this yid who's considered a min is treated like a avodah zarah person. For all extent and purposes, his bread is off limits, like the bread of a guy. Worse than a guy, right? The Mepharshim brings like a kuti. The kutim had an even worse status. I mean, the bread of a guy, if it's pas palter, commercially produced, and there's a heter, but by a kuti, even that's usher. It's even worse than a yain. The wine of this Jewish min is considered like yain nesach, avodah zarah wine. Sfarav sifrei kaismin. His scrolls, his Torahs, the Miksubim that he writes, we burn them like the sifrei kaismin, like the books of these sorcerers, of these idol worshippers. Peros of Tvalin, his produce presumed to be Asr and Tevel. He doesn't do Meiser. Some take it a step further, even in family affairs. We turn to Talmud Bavli. Bottom Mamzerim, his sons, his children are presumed to be Mamzerim because they're less than careful in these matters. Tanakama, he disagrees. Don't take it that far. Ishtay lemafki, he wouldn't abandon his wife. He wouldn't let his wife interact with others, so there's no issue of the children at least. Okay, Amar Mar. Let's go back and review the halacha Rabbi Ami. Shchitas oived kechavim nevela. Okay, so we say the shchita of a regular guy is just a nevela. But if it's the amin who's infatuated with the system of avodah zarah, a priest or whatever, so then in that case, it's considered avodah zarah material as well. Says the Gemara, how do you know which guy we're dealing with? Maybe this particular guy is a min. Maybe he's a min, which is even worse than regular guys. So you can't even have a no from his shchita. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Avua, it's unlikely. Ein minin b'umois oived kechavim. It's unlikely to find a min by the goyim. So we don't have to be concerned about that. Says, what do you mean? You find plenty of them. We find many goyim who are infatuated with avodah zarah. How could we say that? Most likely, right? The majority of the goyim are not minim. So we don't have to concern ourselves with small percentages. Savarlo, Kihas, Rav Nachman, who made this assertion, made this determination, he holds Kihah like Rabbi Yechanan. The Amar Rabbi Chia, Bar Abba Rabbi Yechanan, even in Eretz Yisrael, Nachar Shebechutz Laretz, the Goyim in Chutz outside Eretz Yisrael, they lost their religiosity. Love oivdik avodas kechavim. They're not really, they don't really believe in the cause of avodah zarah. Ela minig of a same b'yadein. It's just they carry on the tradition that was handed down to them from their parents. They got used to it. It's part of their lifestyle. But it's not a true belief. And therefore, says Taisus, even in Eretz Yisrael, which seem to have been the focal point of all these things in those days. So even there, we say they're not so, they don't really identify completely with avodah zarah to the extent that their activities, that their shchita and all that should be considered for avodah zarah. Hence, we could take a lenient approach, and unless you confirm that he's a min, a regular guy, you assume it's just a pasal shchita, but no more. Amar Rav Yosef. Okay, on this topic, Bar Menyum Amar Rav Nachman. Ein minin b'umis oived kechavim. A new statement, unrelated to the previous. By goyim, there's no concept of min. They don't have a status of min. Lamai, regarding what? What do you mean? Ilem el shchita, regarding shchita? Of course there is. We just said there is. Hashta shchitas min di Yisrael. Look, even by Yisrael is a min. Amras Asir, you say it's Asir, completely banned. It's like avodah zarah. Certainly by the guy. Needless to say, if a guy is a min, what do you mean there's no min status? Ella means like this. Linin Maritin, regarding lowering them into the pit. We learn in Masechet avodah zarah the minim. I meant you do that to the minim. By the way, the Chazon Ish explains that it doesn't really pertain nowadays. It's only when the world was at a much higher spiritual level, so this was considered an affront to Hashem, Kaviyachal, and we were meant to eradicate any complicating factors. But today it would have the opposite effect. It would be viewed as violence, and it would just not have any positive effect whatsoever. So today it's not so. It's not pertinent. In any case, there's Allah called Meiritin, and that applies to a real min. Ask the Gemara again, same question. Why would the guy be exempt from this status, from this procedure? Hashtal the Yisrael Meiritin, if a min by Yisrael is meant to be dealt with this way, to remove this spiritual threat from our nation, certainly by the guy. If a guy is a min, certainly we treat him to that treatment. So what do you mean there's no min by goyim? Amar Rav Ukva bar Chama. He was just referring to a very specific component of Hilchas Kachim. We discussed this the other day. Even a guy we know can send a carbon, can donate a carbon. What if the guy is a renegade? He doesn't adhere to his commandments. He has halacha of avodah zarah as well, right? Sheva mitzvahs. He doesn't do that. So if he was a yid, a renegade yid, you cannot accept a carbon from him, but not by a guy. Only a yid, due to our high status, all these activities, all these misbehaviors affect us, and get in the way. But by a guy, the expectations are lower, the standards are low, and therefore even a guy who's a min can still send a carbon. That was his point. It was very specific halach. to enable us to accept a carbon from them. The Sanya, as we look in the Brisa. The pasuk says, Adam ki yakriv mikem carbon lashem. Mikem means only some of you can send a carbon. Like kulchem haitzi samumar. A yid who is a meshumah, there's a renegade who rejects our Torah. He's exempted. He's rejected from bringing a carbon. Mikem. We also learn bachem chilakti. This exemption, this disabling the mumar is only by bachem, amongst you, amongst Yisrael. V'loi badikacham papayigoy. If you have a fellow who has this type of mindset, you can still accept karbanis from him. Mamai. How do we know that a guy who's a mumar can still send a carbon? Dilmach kamer. Maybe the pasuk means like this: Misrael mitzadike kabel, mirushay like the kabel. Maybe the pasuk says like this: Adam ki akrim mikem carbon. Only some of you, only tzaddikim, not the rishayim. Right? Aval ba'idikacham klal loy. Perhaps a guy is not entitled at all to send the carbon, not even the righteous guy. No, you can't say that. We have a pasuk which allows them. You can entertain that notion. The Sanya of a Brisa. Pasuk says, ish, right? Beis Yisrael will send the carbon. What's the repetition? Ish, to cover even the guy. Ish. Once it says it once, what's the point of saying it again? Ish. L'rabbis, oidei kechavim, shenoidrim, v'nedarim, u'nedavis Yisrael, to allow a guy to send a carbon donation just like a yid. So apparently when the pasuk is excluding, the pasuk means to say like this: a guy can send the carbon, and even a guy who's a misbehaving guy, because the exemption of mikem is only mikem amongst you. Amongst Yisrael, we say only tzaddikim and not rishayim, but amongst the goyim, that's not a factor. Okay, so in a nutshell, we learned that a shchita of a guy, according to Rabbi Eliezer, is considered for the zara, but according to Chachamim, it's just an avela. But a min, in fact, if it's a confirmed min, then we treat it like a vedazar material. Regarding sending karbanis, we said even a guy, a mumar, can still send a carbon. Okay, Mishnah says the shchita of a guy is an avela and it's metame. Well, obviously, pshita, of course, every avela transmits tumma. Pshita, kivan the neveli, once it has the status of a neveli, you give it that label, metame masa, of course there's an issue of tumma b'masa. The Mishnah is like this. It's limited to masa only. Zu metame b'masa, this animal transmits tumma by way of carrying it. V'yeshtacha acheret, there's another similar type of phenomenon, a different shchita. She metame afil ba'oil, in that case, the material is so tainted that it transmits tumma even indirectly. If you find yourself under the same roof of that material. What shchita are we talking about? Zuta kroives avodas gechav. A behemoth shechted for the sake of avodas zara. That transmits tumma like a dead person, even in an oil. Ukrab Yehuda b'Mesir, like his shita. Ikad there's another version. It's the opposite. Amarava. Chitani Mishnah is like this. Zum tama b'masa. This one transmits tumma by way of masa and not oil. It's only an avela. V'yeshtacha acheres. Shikazu. Shematamba b'masa. V'enam tamba b'oil. And there's another one that's very similar to this and has the same status, same exact status, only masa, not oil. Ve'ezah, which one is that? Zutakrev Zaved Zara. Zutakrev Zaved Kechavim. Animal that was shechted for the sake of idol worship. Right? To serve the idol. Has no worse status than an avela. And that's what the Mishnah meant when it added the words umetama b'masa. It's referring to that other case. And not like Rabbi Meseru says that it's metama like a mace, like a dead person ba'oil. It doesn't have that severity. Or like Rabbi Meseru. Sani, where do we find this shita? Rabbi Meseru Aimer. Minayin. How do we know? Something served to the zara has such a great capacity for a tumah, could even spread it in an oil. So the pasuk here is referring to something served up by the zara and treats it like a mace, connects it to a dead person regarding its tumah status. Ma mace just like a mace. Will send its tumah around to anything under the same roof. After kroibes of its gecham, likewise, something served to an idol has that same capacity of tumah b'oil. So the two is still in the Mishnah. Either we're going like the shita of Rabbi Meseira that takriv of Itzer Tam Ba'il, or we're going like the opposing view that it's not Tam Ba'il. Continues the Mishnah. Hashaychet b'layla. If a proper shaychet does a proper shchita, but it's nighttime, it's dark. V'chein asuma sheshachet, or a blind man who does shchita, shechita zekshera, it works, even though he couldn't really keep an eye on what he's doing. Asks the Gemara, you mean it's only after the fact? You shouldn't really do this? Hashaychet sounds like it's b'di'evet. After it's done, we say it's okay. L'chatchila, but initially, you shouldn't initiate this process. For a minute, we have a kasha from another halacha. It's a brayso. La'ilam shechten. You can shecht any time in the day or night. Bein b'yayim bein b'layla. Bein b'reish hakag, bein b'reish hasfina. On your rooftop, on the boat. Rashi explains this based on the Gemara later, that there's a concern about it being perceived like he's serving an idol. Okay, in this case, you can do it. So what pertains to us is the daytime, nighttime issue. Here it says you can do it l'chatchila, and the Mishnah by us says it's only good after the fact. You shouldn't do it at night. Omra Papa depends on the degree of light here. When the Brisa allows shechting at night, b'shavuka kenegda, he has a torch right there, has the floodlights on. Of course he can do it. There's no isra to shecht at night if you can see properly. Whereas our Mishnah is speaking that it's dark. Amar Rav Ashi, Dekanami, I'll even prove to you from the wording of the Mishnah that our Mishnah is speaking that it's darkish, and the Brisa there is speaking when it's light. Dekanami, Tani Hasan Dumidiyayim, because there the Mishnah pairs together night and day. Bein b'yayim, bein b'layla. Implicating that even the nighttime experience is very similar. It's as lit as day. And that's why you can do l'chatchila v'hacha, but in our Mishnah, it pairs together nighttime with a summa, blind man who cannot see. Do me the summa. Apparently we're speaking that it's dark. Shema Minah, that proves that our Mishnah is speaking in a dark setting, in which case it's not advisable, but b'di'evet, if it was a successful shchita, the meat is kosher. Okay? All the best to you, and atzlacha rab.